welcome. Today we have a special Lucky Trader stream. We're going to do DeFi Kingdoms today. A little introduction to DeFi Kingdoms. Been getting a lot of questions about it as it's one of the hot new games out on the blockchain. So with me today we have DangyWing and Gump Skull 5. So how are you guys doing today? Excited to be here?
I am. Absolutely. You are muted, Dang. I don't know if you need that.
Fantastic start. I love DeFi Kingdoms. Excited to be here. Thank you, Lou. Thank you, Lucky Trader, for inviting me.
Yeah, so basically we wanted to give people a little overview of DeFi Kingdoms, how you can start out, what kind of bankroll is needed, as you know, now it's a little more expensive to get in than when it started, obviously, but even as far as a couple weeks ago, it's really gone up a lot, and we're here to help because we've been getting a lot of questions basically on how to get started, and it's not on Ethereum Mainnet. I think that's a big thing to explain to people first. So let's go for it. Basically, if you guys could give like a 1-2 sentence, what is DeFi Kingdoms, and why it's something that people are really latching onto right now.
For me, it's gamified DeFi, which means it's a soft landing spot for people to learn about decentralized finance, about liquidity pools, about what DeFi does, and then it's a cool interface. So that's really what it is for me, of just a gentle spot for folks to learn. What about you, Gump?
Yeah, that's kind of their tagline, is it's a gamified DEX. So decentralized exchange, like we all use SushiSwap or Uniswap. It's the Uniswap of the blockchain that it's on, which is the Harmony network. So that's why people latch onto it. And there's a ton of other things you can do in there to not only do swaps, but provide liquidity. Some of the returns are pretty spicy right now. So, and they made it a game. So like it's fun. It gets people pretty into it.
Yeah. So let's get at it. This is the first thing you want to do. And we're going to explain this as if you have, say, like half an Ethereum and you just want to get started here in this screen. So first thing you're going to have to do is bridge over your currency onto the Harmony net. And I do have a little guide. We'll add that in the notes below as well on specifically how to do this step by step. But I've already added what is referred to as the Harmony Mainnet to my MetaMask. Now, I don't know if we need to get into the other RPCs when your Harmony is down, at least not for like this stream. But so Dangy, walk me through what I would do on this screen. It's bridge.harmony.1, and if you see like up here on the top left, I'm on the ETH2-1 portion of this. The 1 to ETH right next to it is when you're bridging your money back to. So if I'm on the screen, what do I want to do now?
First, Lou, we gotta go back to your guide. Are there red circles on your guide?
Yeah, so I had that in one of the screenshots, and we're basically gonna go over the red circles, but in real time.
Love it. We've had a guide floating around when we've been helping people. So you'll follow the circles, and basically what you want to do is you want to go from the Ethereum blockchain over to the Harmony blockchain, or the Harmony network, which is a little confusing here because it's called Horizon. Like, naming in crypto is very weird. It's called Horizon by Harmony. I don't even know what Horizon is. I think it's the name of the bridge, but then it says ETH to 1, and you're like, what is 1? So 1 is the native token over on Harmony. So by that, I mean Ether is the native token on Ethereum. 1 is what it is over on Harmony. So don't worry about that. Everything's cool as far as the bridging. So you want to pick ETH to 1, like Lou said, over on the left. And then on the right side of your screen, you want to pick Ethereum because that's where you're coming from. And then last but not least, you want to pick the token that you're moving over, which is in the middle of the screen where we have ETH selected there as well. So basically anywhere you see ETH, you're going to pick it and then you're going to send it. One note on bridging, it's terrifying. Almost every time that I bridge, it's always scary until I've done it like 10 times. So your fears, they are shared. And so one way that I mitigate that fear is through sending a small amount over. I typically do like 0.1234 or something like that, just so I know it's a unique-ish number. And then I can see that it succeeds, and then I send the bulk over. So that's one thing to note about bridging over.
Yeah, and one thing that's on this screen that, I mean, we don't have to get super into, but where it says the ERC20, ERC 1155. Now those would be if you wanted to move NFTs over, I believe, right? So we don't really have to worry about that here. Mainly it would be if you're sending ETH or if you had one already, because some people will think, oh, I need one. It's the Harmony net or whatever. And they'll actually do the swap on Ethereum net and then realize what they did and have to bridge it over. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
So you're going to want to bridge the ETH over and then swap it once you're in the DeFi Kingdom platform. So Gump, what should I do here now that I've selected the Ethereum? I'm connected to Ethereum Mainnet.
Yeah, so you're already connected. And one other issue I've had people go through is you'll see on the right and it says Ethereum on the top right, and then it says Harmony below. So Harmony does have their own web wallet, their own branded wallet. It's totally separate. And I've seen people like create a one wallet and then they bridge and they can't find it. So don't worry about that bottom right section where it says Harmony and then it has the little MetaMask symbol. Don't even touch that. Just connect on the top section. Okay, so then we could pick how much we want to bridge, an ETH amount. And I also recommend doing a test amount. We've all done this a few times, but do 0.05. You know, it costs a little bit of gas, but it's worth your peace of mind to make sure it went to the right spot. Okay, then the most important part, you could technically bridge this to anybody because this bottom address where it says one address, that is your address on the Harmony chain. In this case, it's our MetaMask address. So you could just click the little blue, use my address, and now we're done.
Okay, and then that's an important thing to note as well, where if you do have, I mean, I'm not going to tell people to do multi-wallet anything, but I think that's really the only case that you would do that, where you would send it to a different wallet. I always just go through the use this address anyway. Now it'll quote you on a network fee here in Ethereum, and that's something to note. If you're on your way back from one to Ethereum, you would be paying the gas in one token, and that's probably, I don't know, 400 or 500 one. So that's important when you're bridging back to Ethereum, that you're going to be paying that fee in one. So then I would go through and click the confirm here. It would go through a process of X amount of minutes. So instead of us going through that, I've already bridged over some funds to one. So we're going to go over to the DeFi Kingdoms portal now. So game.defykingdoms.com. And one thing you're going to want to be in the DeFi Kingdoms Discord. There's a lot of great info in there. One thing that happens when they do patches, they're going to usually upload that to the beta website. So there's a beta.defykingdoms.com as well. So right now they have what they call mining quests that are currently only on the beta versus the prod version. So that's just one thing I wanted to note. Now that we have the game.DeFi Kingdoms, we need to connect to that Harmony mainnet. So I'm just going to switch it over here. I don't believe you can see that I did that, but you would then go through and you create a character name. So now, since I already had created this account, I have the name. Everything's going to start loading on the top left. And you'll notice that I do have a little bit of Jewel, and that's from when I did the other videos for this. I created the account. So I'm just going to use that same account with the Ethereum already on it. So now that I have my ETH over, Dangy, where should I click here to get started and figure out that what I'm going to do with my money now?
The way that I navigate a new website is by clicking buttons. In a past life, I would train people how to use software, and there are two kinds of people. People who want to know what a button does before they click it, and people who click buttons to figure out what they do. So I encourage you on DeFi Kingdoms to click buttons and figure out what they do. So I would personally start with the gardens to go look over at the gardens to see, or I would actually, I'm wrong. Let's start with the marketplace so you can see the funds that you bridged over. That's the easiest spot to look, and you can verify where your money
I would
went.
say marketplace is if we're assuming you're a brand new wallet doing this, I would say the first transaction you want to make is moving money over to one tokens, because when what we just showed you on the bridging, when your account starts, you're going to have, I believe it's 0.01 of the one tokens.
Yep.
And that's how you make transactions on the network. And the first transaction you do is to create the name, which costs that little bit of gas. So I'd encourage people, the one big thing that you get out of all of this is always make sure you have the one tokens in your balance, because you're going to need them in order to do every single transaction in this game. So now that we're in the marketplace, there's three different guys here. Which one do we need to check out, Gump?
Yeah, so we talked earlier, the whole purpose of this platform was to be a gamified DEX, so somewhere where you can swap one token for another, and that would be at the trader on the left-hand side, kind of in the middle there. So in the game, every feature they have has a little area of the map, and they all have these NPCs, non-player characters, that you have to interact with to do whatever function you're attempting to do.
You do a refresh since it's not populating a balance there, but
yeah. So the game has become so popular that the Harmony network is really overloaded right now. So sometimes you have to refresh a few times.
And I think I like Tim's comment too, to point out when we talk about processing transactions. The one token transactions are incredibly cheap compared to Ethereum. I know that's a common complaint for folks on Ethereum that I share. Gas is just too high to do transactions. So over here in DeFi Kingdom world, it's fractions of a penny to do things. So bear that in mind when we're doing transactions, that it's a safer spot to mess up, because if you're messing up in DeFi on Ethereum, you could lose hundreds of dollars pretty quickly, as far as just, I buy one thing and then, I don't really want to buy that, and moving it out. So this is a very safe spot as far as transaction fees go to practice.
Yep.
Okay, now do you know if the epochs network is working? Should we show them how to use that, since it looks like this Harmony Mainnet is slow for us right now?
It's working better, so you could try it. So what we're discussing is because the mainnet is so bogged down, there's an alternate RPC that you can add that routes traffic a little bit differently. We could put the link to that in the description or something, Lou, if people want to try it. It works the same. Your funds are all the same. You don't have to do anything else. It's just another network that's helpful to use when the traffic is extremely high, like it is at the moment.
Okay.
Pump, isn't that POC? Is that a node? I think it is technically a node, right? Because it stores blockchain data, and that's how you access it.
Yeah, and it's one that the Harmony Foundation has actually partnered with just to help support, because it's a newer chain, right? It's 6 months old, maybe at its most. So Lou's going to add this to his wallet right now. Most of the time, the Harmony Mainnet works just fine, but because of all the traffic.
Do you have the RPC URL for this one?
I can find it real quick.
Pump, while you do that, I want to point something out to folks watching. Do not ever do what Lou is doing. Do not ever share your screen with your MetaMask settings up. Lou knows what he's doing, but I don't want you all watching to do this because it's a very quick way to lose all your money by sharing your seed phrase on accident or sharing your QR code on accident. So a note, I know what Lou's doing. I trust him, obviously, but
oh yeah, I mean, I'll take it back. I was gonna show them how to just create it, but I agree. Might as well just for security purposes, not show too much of that.
I think it's fine. It's fine to show what you're doing. I just didn't want people to think like, oh, I could just share my MetaMask screen when we're like, that's one of the biggest no-nos.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Lou, I put all the chain ID and stuff in the StreamYard chat if you want to add it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so go off of what we were just talking about. Now, in the marketplace, there was three main people there. Do you want to just go over the other two while I'm setting this part up?
Yeah, so there's the trader, which is where we're going to do a swap here in a minute. There is the druid, which is sort of our liquidity pool go-to guy or gal. I don't know if it's male or female. So the next stop we'll take after the marketplace is the gardens. If you're familiar with yield farming or liquidity pools, we're essentially going to provide the ability for someone else to swap from Jewel to Ethereum or Jewel to Avalanche, so on and so forth. And that's our friend at the top there. And then we have another friend on the right who is our vendor. He comes in a little bit later. It's to buy and sell the in-game items, which you will receive from questing.
Okay, so it looks like now that we're on poked? I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but
I call it Pocket. Yeah,
Pocket. Okay,
I think it is Pocket.
Looks like it's working better. So let's go to the trader here now. I move this over, and one thing you'll notice is a lot of the tokens on here have the number 1 in front of them. It's the same thing. So you can see I have 1 ETH here, about 0.6 of it. And I want to make sure that I'm not using all of it to bridge over, not bridge, but to swap over to the new tokens. Now, if I want to create a liquidity pool, what's the first thing I would do here? Because now I just have Ethereum. As I mentioned before, I probably want to get some 1 token. So which liquidity pool are you guys looking for, and how would I get started here? Can you hear the music, by the way? Should I turn that down?
I can't hear it at all. No.
Okay, perfect.
So to answer that question, I would say, why don't we, now that we've seen this, let's take a quick pit stop to the garden and show all the potential pools you could invest in. Because they're all a little bit different. They're all going to be Jewel, which is the currency of the game, paired with another Ethereum, USDC, Avalanche, One, tons of options. And you can see those if you click the seed box there. So they call their liquidity pool tokens seeds in this game, just to kind of make it easier for folks to understand, which I think is one of the reasons why it's been so popular. So we'll wait for the...
even more important than the MetaMask security, I need to point out something, Lou. You have your browser window muted for stream audio quality. When participating in DeFi Kingdoms, you need to crank the music as loud as your speakers can handle it.
Yep.
The music is incredible. Not a joke. It's part of the reason that I invested in DeFi Kingdoms early. It's part of the reason that some of our friends invested in DeFi Kingdoms early, is just the quality of life stuff that they do. So
yeah, I can unmute it to see if you guys hear it. But it may have been how I shared it.
Shout out to Pete Overzet and Club Top Shot. You'd have to share Chrome tab and do the share audio, not the Chrome window.
We talked about that earlier. Okay, yeah. So here we're in the gardens, and as you mentioned, like it's showing all the different coins and what you can match with Jewel. And Jewel is the native token to the game. That's how you'd word it, right? And so you see the different APRs that are being offered, how much is deposited into each of these pools, and then a pool reward allocation. Now, of these, like, what are you guys looking for when you want to choose the pool?
Yeah, so a lot of people will just look for the highest APR percentage. That's fine. I would prefer, this is what I tell new people. You're obviously going to need Jewel, right? That's why you're in the game. So when you're finding a pair it with something that you like or you're excited about. If it's ETH, if you love ETH, do the Jewel ETH pool. If you are on Avalanche and you like that chain, do Jewel AVAX. In the beginning, the Jewel 1 pool was the best. That's changed a little bit. And that's because I get this question too. Where does the APR come from? Like, what's the catch to getting 460% return? The reason why it's so high is not all of the Jewel that's going to exist has been minted and created. So because the game's new, they're saying, hey, we're going to incentivize you to invest in these pools. And as a reward, not only will you get a percentage of the trading fees that happen in that pool, we're also going to give you a bonus, right? So until July of this year, all these pools are getting their usual fees plus bonus Jewel because the game's trying to incentivize you to buy Jewel and play the game. So that's why they're so high. I know it's like, well, what am I missing here? So personally, any of the big five or the big six, right? One, ETH, Luna, AVAX. For simplicity's sake, if you were a new user, you're obviously comfortable with ETH. So that's a great pool. And you're on the Harmony chain. So if you did Jewel 1, it's kind of like you're supporting the chain even further by buying additional 1 and giving liquidity to that. So we could pick either of those for tiebreaker's sake. Well, let's do Jewel 1 because that'll help us show the swap mechanics.
Okay, so now the easiest way is to go back to the marketplace.
Yep, because we have to buy the seeds at the marketplace.
Yeah, so one thing that I like about this game and the way that it's set up is they make it simple to understand by having this interface that instead of using like scary words, connected big words that are like very financial based, they're using things like you buy seeds to plant them in the garden, and it's not overly difficult to like understand that side of it. So on here, the top one, we are going to want to have Ethereum, right? So the 1 ETH. And then we will select a token, and there's a whole list of tokens down here, plenty. I don't know what this baby jewel is. I don't think I've seen that before, but
yeah, I don't know either.
We're just going to choose up at the top has a lot of the common ones. In this case, we're going to use 1. And now when I swap over, it's important to know how much you want to put into this pool initially, because the thing with liquidity pools is, say you have 1 Ethereum, you have to have equal parts of each of the 2 currencies for the pool. So you're actually splitting that in half. Now, in my guide and in our original guide that we had created kind of as a group, we said to swap over, I believe it's 51% of it.
Yep.
Now, is there a reason why we would do it that way versus another way? In this case, I'm just going to tell you guys, I want to put half of this, like a half Ethereum worth in here, because then the other 0.12 I'm going to save for like heroes down the road or something. So if I want to put half an Ethereum worth into that Jewel 1 token, how much am I going to put in here?
Yeah, so the reason why I originally said 51.49 is because people were just doing half and half, and then they would deposit their money in the garden, and they'd have no one left. And we need that to pay gas. So be like, well, I can't do anything else because I don't have any one left, and I don't have any ETH to bridge over left, and I can't do transactions anyway. So it's kind of a safe way to get people to understand, after you're totally done with all these steps we're walking through, you need to have at least, I say, one or two tokens left over in your wallet just to pay gas with. So in reality, you could do 50.05%, right? I did 51.49 because it was easy. Lou here already has some one, so he doesn't have to worry about that. But the bottom line is, make sure when you're all done, you have some one left over, so you don't have to ask your friends to send you a couple so you can do transactions.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you get stuck, head over to the Lucky Trader Discord, and then I'm sure somebody in there will have some one laying around. They can help you out, because going back to Tim's point, one is fairly cheap at the moment, so gas fees are cheap, so people are happy to help you out.
Yep.
Yeah. This 1.041 token that I have is worth like 30 cents. So it's not like breaking the bank for someone to just send you a couple of them.
Yeah.
And you'll notice once you start doing things like quests, you're going to be doing more transactions, and you might want to hold closer to like 10 of it. So I'll go through and just do the example with 0.25. So that's about 2,501. What were you gonna say something?
Oh yeah, so I was just gonna reiterate why we're doing it half and half, and that's just because when we go buy this seed, they're gonna require us to give them equal parts Jewel and equal parts one in their USD values, because we're doing this so people can swap between the two things. So we have to give them both so someone can pull from our Jewel for one, and then it's kind of a seesaw that goes up and down, right? That's why we have to provide them both.
Yeah, and I don't know how deep into impermanent loss we need to get on the stream per se, but that I would say, if you're watching this stream and you want to get into liquidity pools, you probably want to look up what impermanent loss is in general, and just have a sense of what it is. Like, there's plenty of great other videos and articles out there that'll get deep into what it is. So it's just something to note. So then I can put 0.25, and then I'm going to put it into Jewel now.
Yep.
So that's about 41 Jewel. Now you'll notice I went quickly through that screen, but there's a little bit of a fee that gets paid when using the marketplace as well. It's small. I mean, I think we all sort of agree that the more transactions you do over time, like it'll add up probably, but the less transactions you make as far as moving money, like swapping the money between different currencies and adding to and removing from liquidity pools, the better. You just save over the long run. So try to come up with your total amount first that you want to do. So now I have the Jewel. Now I have the one. Would you guys go through this screen, or do you go back to the gardens?
I think you have to buy the seeds here, right? We can only deposit them in the garden. So if we click our Druid friend in the marketplace, we have our equal parts one, our equal parts Jewel. We don't need to create a pool. Those already exist for us. We looked at them earlier in that list. So we're going to buy our seeds. They will grow into beautiful Jewel flowers.
Yeah. So the other thing on that screen that it showed is there's 0.2%. Now, as the liquidity providers, you get a little piece of the pie as other people are adding money into the pool. So that's like the benefit of being this liquidity provider. That's how they pay out a lot of that APR that you're seeing before. Like, some of that's just coming from other people paying to get into it as well. Yeah. So that fee that we had mentioned before, like, that's going to other people that are liquidity providers. So now here it defaults to one at the top. Since we're doing the one in the Jewel, for this bottom where it says select token, I'm going to select Jewel here.
Yep.
And now, basically, this should already be at least very close to exactly 50-50. However, like the prices change in these things all the time, and with the fees that you did. If you do max for Jewel, you'll see it's higher than the one amount.
Yep.
So in this case, like, how would you guys go about it? I generally would take it to like the 24.95 or something on one.
Yeah, that's
so then I
fine.
have like 1 token left. So when you click max, it's going to tell you what obviously the max from that token is. But as you saw on the bottom, it'll pop up in red and tell you that you can't actually do it.
Yep.
So here, this tells you the price and the pool share. As you can see, it's changing in real time with us. So then you click supply. It'll tell you how many Jewel tokens this is. So it's about 300 tokens and all that extra information. Confirm the supply. Now, I believe since I've already done this once, I think if this was your first time, you have to approve it, right? So there'll be 2 transactions the first time you do it, but then that's a one-time transaction, similar to if you are on OpenSea and you have an NFT and it's the first time you're trying to list that NFT. Okay. Now you can add, this will pop up whenever you're making a lot of these transactions. It'll say add the tokens to your MetaMask. That's more of like a personal preference, but I generally do
love
it
that
just because
100%, because I lose. I'm gonna reveal my degeneracy. I lose what tokens I've bought, and then I can't find them, and I don't remember where they are. And without them being in my MetaMask, I don't see them in my face, and I don't really keep diligent records as of today for what I do buy and what I do. So you'd have to go find third-party sites to go find those coins. So I love that add to MetaMask button.
Same.
Even with RPCs like Pocket, you can. There are some bridges that would let you add a different RPC, and then you click a button, and poof, it's in your MetaMask. So it's a great convenience. Don't be afraid to add things to your MetaMask.
Yeah. Now, the one thing I want to note here is some people think I did it. I added. Yeah, we're done. We supplied. We're in there.
Not done.
But no, you're not. You've just created the seeds, but we still have to plant the seeds for these flowers to grow. So where do I go from here, Gump?
Yeah, so we just bought our seeds. Where do we plant seeds, guys? In the garden. So let's go to the garden. If you did nothing else, the seeds you just bought would be making $0 for you. They have no purpose. They're just holding your 2 tokens you put in. So this is a very important step. So let's go to the seed box real quick.
Can we contrast something real quick with this liquidity providing process versus curves, where the method, what it's called in curve is stake engage, and versus planting seeds. So this is a great example of what I meant by a soft landing into DeFi, because stake engage, what does that mean? What does gauge mean? I don't know. So just go plant your seeds, plant them in the garden.
Yep. And curve does not have buns. The 6 little pets we have on the screen here, we love.
Yeah,
tough scene.
That's a nice part of the interface. Like this farmer has tons of pets, and in each of the screens you get to see the pets, and they run around, and there's the music playing. It's very pleasant, kind of what Dangy was saying earlier. Like you feel very comfortable being here. So I'm gonna click the deposit on Jewel 1.
We're gonna deposit our seeds.
Okay,
it will load and tell us how many we have. Yep. So max, do them all. Otherwise, they don't work for you.
Then, as I mentioned before, like I've already approved this, but the first time you go to do it, that approve button will pop up. You would click that. You would do that transaction, pay the tiny amount of 1 for the gas fee, and then this deposit.
Yep.
To take a brief nerd detour into what that approve button does is it lets the smart contract use the token that you have in your wallet. So I'm doing a lot of security warnings, but sometimes that approve button, if you're on a malicious site, can be bad, because then you'd let a malicious site use your tokens, which you do not want. That's why you always double check your URL when you go there. This is a good URL. It's a good contract. The team is good about vetting contracts and even delaying releases if they have to vet the contract. So I have no problem approving anything on DeFi Kingdoms to use my tokens.
Yeah. So now, let me refresh the page. So my transaction went through. Let's see if Harmony will be good to us here. But then you'll see the deposits in here. And then one thing I wanted to note is there's unlocked and locked, as you can see there. Can you guys just quickly go over the difference between unlocked and locked?
Yeah, so there's in order for the game to kind of slowly progress towards having all the jewel available and minted, they have implemented a locking and unlocking schedule. So once a week, the amount that's unlocked when you claim it goes up a little bit. Look at this, we're already printing jewel right now. So if you were to claim today, what is it, guys? Like 39% is unlocked right now. And then the rest of it goes in your locked balance. You cannot use your locked balance for anything today. The soonest you could use it is beginning in July, or there are ways to unlock it early, which we'll get to here in a minute. So when you see your total amount, not all of it will be liquid at that time. Now, if you deposit it now and you don't touch it until July, when you claim in July, it'll all be unlocked. And I always encourage people to read their white paper. It goes through in great detail what the schedule looks like for when you can claim your rewards and the unlock percentage it will be at that time. Yeah.
Yeah, so the white paper on docs.defikingdoms.com is going to go over more of the specifics based on sort of what we've already mentioned. And I set up an article on Lucky Trader that we put out today that basically goes over each of these pieces of the white paper. And you can see on here like how DeFi Kingdoms works. It tells you about the jewel token, the gardens that we just went through. Explains things like, remember when the gardens used to look like this? This is an old pic, but yeah, it explains the specifics of what you're saying. They call them epochs. They're about a week long, and that 31% is slowly goes down to the point where all of your jewel that you're earning will be unlocked instead of locked, and this allows people to get into the game, and so people won't just like dump on you, because that's what we see in a lot of these DeFi protocols. So here, this breaks out what we were just saying about the locking model, and the specific numbers. As we mentioned before, we're at like epoch 15. Is that right? Something like that.
I don't know exactly which one.
Yeah.
So this the way they wrote this, it looks overwhelming if you're not familiar with all the terminology. There's a community made tool that will tell you the exact time of the next epoch is, so you don't have to worry about, I'm going to go check the block number that we're at and look for the block number and see how long it's going to be to the next block and get my calculator out. We could provide that community created tool for you guys that makes it a lot simpler to walk through.
Yeah. So as I mentioned before, this is the article that is now available on luckytrader.com. And basically it's a guide, kind of what we're going over. We already went through the steps here on bridging over, going to the marketplace, which is the DEX in this specific example. And so this basically just goes over all the steps as we've already gone over today, but then beyond, if you want to do things like staking at the bank, or if you're going to go and bridge stuff over to different networks. Sorry. And then a little bit on heroes. We're going to have a different stream that's going to go over specifics of heroes, but While I have you guys on, I was just going to quickly go over each of these tabs on the right here in the menu. So the main one is the map, and I'd encourage people to check out the map and sort of walk around a little, because the one thing on the map to me that makes me pretty bullish on this game is look how much of it is untapped, right? Like a lot of the little pop-ups are here in the center, but I mean, what's going to go on in the top left here, the top right, like what's happening in the mountains? I think we have some sort of idea of these things. Not sure how deep into the avalanche side we want to get just yet, because that's still weeks, months away potentially. But they do have plans to fork over to the avalanche network. So if you're someone that's more comfortable in the avalanche network, that's coming in the future as well.
So Gump, stay calm. But the team has teased
I'm trying
when the clouds reveal.
Yeah.
Like when the clouds pass. So Lou's only showing you what we already see within the clouds. You see how big the clouds are? The clouds are big. So they have huge plans for this game. So I'm very excited to see where it goes as well.
Yeah, so you're talking about right here under the mountain where there's those clouds? Like that's where we should expect another?
Around the edges of
Just the whole
square.
map.
Yeah, so they're going to be adding different zones, and there's going to be plots of land that people can own and resources on those. Like they're creating a whole world, so to speak, which I think is why a lot of gamer focused people are addicted to this game, is because it's more familiar to what they're playing, which is an RPG, I guess you might classify it as. So yeah, this is what we're looking at now is 10% of what we will be looking at in 6 months or a year.
Yeah. And one thing on here that I think is important to note, this is kind of more like an Easter egg thing, but there are things on here that are clickable before they have the pop-up words. So right now, I think the only one is this, the wishing well, which is up near the castle here. I don't think you can see my specific. Can you see it? The mouse?
Yeah.
Okay, so where I have the mouse, if you were to click that, that's the wishing well. So sometimes they'll throw little Easter eggs in there. So whenever there's like a new map, we always go through and we start just like clicking to try to find if there's like Easter eggs. So that's just something I wanted to throw out there. Frankie has a question. I think we can answer this one. So he's asking, is it worth compounding if he's only getting 1 to 2 Joule, or is it better to wait for the epochs? So his question is basically, if I'm earning 1 to 2 Joule a day, should I claim that Joule and then reinvest it to add to the pools, or should he wait that week when the unlocked amount is higher?
I'll let you take that one, Dangy, because there's
okay. It depends on your goal, Frankie, and how deep you want to get. I think it's very commendable if you're able to sit on your hands and just have this Joule that's working for you, and then you claim it every epoch when it's over. The other way to go, if you want to deep dive, like the three of us silly people on this screen have done, is you're going to want to compound. And the reason that you'd want to compound is to get more locked Joule, which this just got released yesterday. And you can use your hero to unlock the locked Joule. So this is what I mean by you're getting deeper in the game. So you would need to buy a hero from the marketplace, and you would need to run quests with that hero to get that locked Joule out. Now, you wouldn't necessarily want to do that quest to retrieve the locked Joule immediately, because you won't have that much left, and that's for like a 201 or a 301 level DeFi Kingdom stream. But if you want to get deeper in, sure, compound. Or if you want to just hang out and be a part of the ride, I think it's fine to wait for epochs, personally.
Yeah. And the one thing with that I think is kind of important to note is right now it's $20 for Joule, and some people want to start taking some off the top. Others want to put more into the game, but don't want to put more of the funds that they already threw in. But what's nice about this with claiming and adding to the pool is, since the gas fees are in 1 tokens, and very cheap. It doesn't cost all that much to claim and then add to it. So like Dingy said, it's more like, how long do you want to wait to get your money? Do you want it right away? Do you want to just keep adding because you believe in the game long term, and you want to get as much in from that initial investment as you can? So quickly, I'm just going to go over some of the other places you can go in here. The bank, I think, is a cool one to show people. So in here we have the teller, and then not exactly sure what this guy with the exclamation point does right now, but if we go into the teller, so Dangy, why would I want to use the bank? I see in here there's X Joule balance. Could you just quickly go over what that means?
Yeah, it's a safe spot to put your Joule if you would like to. The X Joule, you get X Joule, and the ratio increases based upon a couple of factors, but the main one is fees in the Tavern, where people are transacting on buying and selling heroes. So a portion, 3.5% of a sale, comes out, and part of that comes into the bank and gets distributed across all the bankers, or all the people in the bank. So that ratio changes between the Joule that you put in and the X Joule that you would take out. Right now, the APY, is it APY or APR on this one? I think it's APY, is around under 20%.
It's around there.
Yeah, so it's pretty small compared to the gardens. The other reason that you would be in the bank is to have what we call snapshot equity, where the team is taking continual snapshots over a period of time to be eligible for certain airdrops. I would not go into the bank by me saying there's snapshot equity for airdrops right now, because they're ongoing. So your strategy should change based upon when you put into the bank. So there's one for an amulet, I think, and you had to have 100 in by a certain point in time. That was in the past, so you are not eligible for that. And there's one coming up for Gen Zeros that has it's going to be a minuscule chance to get a hero out of that, which we'll talk about Gen Zeros later on. One note on this before we go any further: there's a claim button. You don't have to hit the claim button. Whenever anyone hits the claim button, everyone essentially hits the claim button. So you don't really need to hit that claim button.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why you go in the bank. It's also a safe spot to just hold it and get a little bit of return on your Joule if you just want to have it available.
Yep. Yeah, with a half ETH to start out, I personally would not worry about the bank. I mean, you're not getting much from it. If you want to keep it liquid, you could put it in there. If you want to compound, you obviously won't need the bank. If you wanted to maybe save up for a hero purchase later, the bank is a fine spot. But you're not missing anything at lower stakes by not being in the bank. Just want to make that clear, because I think people get FOMO about not being in the bank, but it's like a savings account is all it is.
Okay. So yeah, that's more so just noting, like, if you want, if you're not going to compound, like Frankie had mentioned, and you just sort of want to put it off to the side, but you want to still be like invested in Joule, so to speak. That's how I've been using the bank, where it's like you're kind of saving it. And because once you put money into the liquidity pools, we didn't specifically mention, but as you want to remove money from the liquidity pools, you're paying fees depending on how long you've had it in there for. So the bank is more of a liquid version of that, where you can access the Joule. If you want to say, oh, now I've accumulated X amount of Joule and there's this hero I want to buy, like, I'd suggest pulling that from the bank versus taking liquidity out.
Yep. And your bank, with your bank balance, if you do deposit, it's not locked. There's no locking that applies to the bank. Whatever you put in, you can always get back out at any time. There's no penalty. There's no fee. You just, like I said, it's a savings account, in and out. That's it.
Yeah. So let's quickly go over to the Tavern. We're going to create more specific content on like how to find heroes that you may want, the different types of heroes, and more specifics. You could do easily a whole nother stream just on heroes themselves, but just going to quickly show you guys what it looks like here. if you have heroes, you would be able to sell them through the agent here. And then if you click buy heroes, this is where you'll see sort of the marketplace of heroes. So right now, cheapest hero, 33.5 Jewel. That's what, about 600 USD. So that's where I think we've sort of talked about in the past, like different thresholds, so to speak, of if you want to be playing the game, you probably need to put more money in. Because I think the way I look at it, and you guys, if you have a different opinion, but I think we're all kind of on the same page, where the first thing you want to do is be in the liquidity pools. And then if you wanted to add further money on top of that, then that's when you can get more into the hero stuff. So in here, you can sort of see there's filtering on the left if you want to go by the different classes. And you can just see based on the amount of different filters that are on here that you're going down a rabbit hole once you get into the hero stuff anyway. So
do we want to talk about, Lou, just in general what heroes can do for you? So the heroes are kind of, they're an NFT on the blockchain. There's going to be the core of this game. So you fight another person's hero, or you go through a raid and raid a dungeon, and you get a jewel reward at the end of it, or in-game items. But what they can do for us now is you can also generate more income by earning in-game items, jewel rewards by going on these quests. So they're not useless right now at all. There's a lot of people who have one hero and they go in a couple times a day, they do their quest, they use up their stamina, and then they have to regenerate, etc. And they could make 1 jewel a day, which is $20 a day, just by doing these quests. I made up $20 in an example. It could be less, it could be more. It depends how many you have and what you're doing with them. But it is another way to generate, I wouldn't call it passive income because you have to interact with it to earn it, but you could increase your jewel balance in various ways by deploying these heroes in their current utility.
Yeah. And I think based on the different quests and different professions, there's different ways that you can get items and jewel itself, and all of the items that you could get on these quests, you could then exchange in the marketplace for jewel if you want, or USD, like any sort of these currencies. The one other thing I wanted to make note is this is the only place you can buy and sell these actual NFTs as it stands right now. So it's not going to go onto your OpenSea account, and you won't be able to search on there. So this is the marketplace for heroes on DeFi Kingdoms specifically.
Yep.
Cool. Is there anything else that you want to mention on heroes, or I'll switch over to.
If we wanted to tie that up and just pop into the professions area of the map.
Yeah.
Real quick. So why don't you, either person can take this, give us an overview of professions and what they do and how they're tied to a hero.
Yeah, I can take foraging and fishing because in my head I put them in the same bucket because they're basically you're hoping for RNG, which is short for random number generation, which is basically I'm rolling luck. The dice and I'm hoping I hit good. Yeah, luck when you're playing a game. So you can send a hero to forage and they'll come back with some items with specific rarity that's published. The rarity is published for you. The highest rare, the most rare item that you want is an egg right now. We love eggs. Eggs are going to turn into pets at some point. What are pets going to do? We don't know, but I'm very excited to find out what pets will do. So foraging, fishing, similar in that you'll go get items. Mining is you're going to go unlock your locked jewel, which means as you're in the gardens, you're getting some locked jewel and some unlocked jewel. So then you have access to your locked jewel earlier than July when the unlocking begins. So it's a way to recoup your investment earlier. And then gardens, I'm still lost on exactly where the garden jewel comes from, or the garden jewel comes from. So Gump, can you take the gardens for me?
Yeah, so the garden quests, so each of these professions is something that a hero can do. Now, each hero has one specialty profession that they are better at than the other three, which we'll go over in the hero deep dive and why it's important. But in general, you could take any hero and do any of these 4 functions. If you wanted to go gardening, so what's gardening do? If you have money in the gardens, which we do because we just put some in the Jewel 1 pool, you can assign a hero to go gardening for you. By doing that, they are going to get possible in-game items. There's different kinds of plants and eggs and things you can find that all do have value. Some of them are worth 5 cents a piece. Some of them are worth $20 a piece, right? It all depends on what you get from the random number generator that you mentioned. Where does the jewel come from that people get as a reward from gardening? They've created what they call the quest fund. It's basically just a contract that holds a ton of jewel that has come from the game that's either been spent in the marketplace and they take a cut of those sales. It's 3.75%. Some of that goes in the quest fund. When you summon or breed, they call it summoning, heroes, part of those fees go to the quest fund. So every time someone interacts with the game and pays a fee in Jewel, some of it goes to the team, some of it goes to the quest fund, some of it goes to the bank. They like to find different ways to reward how you are participating. So anywhere you're in the game, you're getting a benefit from just engaging with it.
Yeah, and this is something that in that article that I mentioned, I dove into a little bit of as far as like the questing goes and what each of them do. So you'll notice when I showed the card earlier, there's different things attached to that hero. There's the traits involved. So I'm gonna quickly go back to one of those, and we're gonna go more deep into this into the actual like hero one, but there's the stats up here. So there's strength, agility, endurance, and those things are going to tie to the actual like combat version of this game. But these also tie to the professions. So for instance, in this case, you'll notice under professions that the word foraging is green. So that's what we will then tie to as this hero is a forager. And if that is green, that actual hero is going to have a cheaper fee, so to speak. Like the amount of stamina it takes for them to run a foraging quest is going to be less than a hero that might have mining for their profession. So that's what, when we talk about like the profession of the hero, is generally what that green text under professions is. And then each of those 4 different professions have stats based off of how they're better at it. Probably worded that a little awkwardly, but for instance, like strength and endurance, right on this character, it's 18, 10 plus 8. That means their stat for mining is 18. So like the higher of the stat, the better of a miner they're going to be. So now that we kind of have a little base of that, let's go over to the portal. You had mentioned the breeding aspect. So
Yep.
you would go to the portal, and we call it summoning. You'd go to the summoner here and obtain crystals. Since we don't have any heroes on this account, we wouldn't, but you would click add hero here. You'd select your hero, and then you could either add another one of your heroes or hire a hero from the greater population of people that are renting out their heroes. And then you match the 2 together. You'll pay a gas fee. And there's this like summons amount on the card that you'll notice. So this first one here has 2 out of 2. That means they can summon or breed 2 times total to get more heroes. So there'll be more heroes created in the game over time. We don't have to get into like the specifics of that, but there are going to be a lot of heroes in this game. Some are going to be better than others, but the cost of this hero and how much it's going to take to get a new one is on the bottom there. So there's the summon fee, which is based off of how many summons they have left, their generation. Generation 0 is where it starts, and it goes out to, I don't know what the highest number is right now. Is there generation 7s maybe?
Yeah, there's 7s and 8s out there. The maximum is 11. There's nothing past 8, 9, 10. And it gets more expensive to summon every generation you go down. But that's, I mean, we can cover this. We could do a whole hour and a half on summoning alone. So
right. So
I do. When you say there's going to be so many heroes, don't forget they've teased a quest where you may lose your hero.
Yeah.
So that could be exciting for the degenerate gamblers out there in the world, but the number of heroes may eventually go down. So keep that in mind.
Potentially deflationary. Yeah. So that's where you would, instead of purchasing a new hero, you could combine 2 heroes together. But it's also good to note that if you have one hero, you still would be able to summon new heroes, similar to what they do with Zed, where I believe that if you have the female, you pay and then you also get the child. In this case, it's similar, where you can have one and you find the mate. The other thing to note is it doesn't matter the gender on your hero. As of now, I think they teased at some point that could matter down the line. I forget. But anyway, if you then have a hero, you could go to one other thing you might have noticed on that stat sheet was they have levels to the heroes. And once your hero builds up enough experience from doing quests or battling maybe down the line, you gain experience points. And once you have that bar filled up, you can then level up your hero. So every hero is going to start at level 1. Once you get to 2,000 experience, your bar is going to be full and you won't be able to gain more experience until you level your hero up to level 2. So you would just do that in this meditation circle. You would enter the circle, you add your hero here, and then you would choose your stat bonuses. That's another thing that we'll have to go deeper into on a different stream, because that's deep in its own as well. And as far as like what stats to level up based on your hero and combat, and that's more in our friend Ori's neck of the woods, where he's deep in the like what the correct things to level up are. Another question that we have from Brandon here is, what should I do with my inventory items? So as we mentioned, when you're doing quests, you get items. As of now, there's not a ton of use for the items. So Dangy, what are you doing with your items right now? Are you just letting them sit? Are you switching them into gold or jewel or anything?
You're on mute again, Dangy. While he gets off mute, go back to the marketplace. We can show everybody the trader guy.
Oh, yeah, vendor here.
Yeah. So just click buy or do sell. So this is stuff you can buy, but go to sell. Oh, see, we don't have anything.
We don't have any items yet to sell.
Shoot.
So we go to buy though, because you'll see like these things are available for purchase from gold. So you would, in that sell version, you would be able to sell your inventory items once you get them for prices in gold. And then with gold, you'd be able to buy these things, these different potions. Or if you have 50,000, you'd be able to buy a golden egg.
A golden egg. Yeah, gold is just a secondary in-game currency for them. So jewel is always going to be used for the main stuff, right? Summoning, the liquidity pools, so on and so forth. Now that we're getting deeper into the actual game itself, they introduced gold maybe about a month ago. It does have value. You could swap gold for Jewel at the trader if you wanted to. I believe gold price was around 2 or 3 cents last time I checked. You can get gold by going on quests. You can go mine for gold. You could sell your in-game items, your plants and your fish and the other stuff that you get for gold. So gold is not worthless. It is worth something. You can buy things with it, sell things, and swap it for Jewel eventually if you wanted to.
Sorry for the mute. My personal strategy on items is to hold them by and large because I'm middle IQ for life. What that means is I don't play in the tails of low IQ and high IQ, so I'm playing the middle ground. I trust the team to make these items worthwhile in the long run, which they've done for some right now. They've recently released the Alchemist, which lets you turn items, and we're like deep end now, turn items that you get in your inventory into potions. And one that is released is the stamina potion. And so the prices on those items have gone up because people can use them. So you now have what we call an item sink. So you can put these items into something else. So I'm planning to sell my stamina potion related inventory items soon because I don't plan to use the stamina potion myself. Some people will, and that's how you can play the economy based on if you want to use the stamina potion to change your mining or your activities in the professions. So that's my current plan.
You're right. It's more of like an example of what there could be to come. Because like right now it's a stamina potion, but there could be kind of what Logan was saying about the permadeath. Like who knows? Maybe there could be a potion that brings someone back from dead and then they're back to life. Or we've theory crafted a lot of these sort of what potential like potions there are out there. So yeah, I'm more so on that side of accumulating, and if you sell it into anything, sell it into gold is what I would think, because I mean there's a reason that they make it so easy to sell it to gold. There's a connection between the two. So yeah, it's I don't think we need to get into the docs at all on this, but there is this other portion of the site is the docs. This will bring you to any swap, and if you want to bridge to other networks out there, but you likely don't have to worry about that much. Is there any other place of the map that you guys wanted me to go back to? I think I missed anything, or
no, I think we got everything at a high level. The thing that I think we could have talked about more is the heroes, but we're going to do a separate stream, separate content for that. If I were to summarize everything we've said so far, if you are a new player and you want to put money onto Harmony and into DeFi Kingdoms, start with the basics. Get your ETH over, find a garden pool that you like, deposit your funds in the garden pool, and then take a break. You could go browse heroes, you could research them more, but just start there, right? You don't have to go through all the stuff that we talked about. It's good to kind of get your footing first and get that set up, and then you can go deeper. So don't think about anything else when you're first starting except for bridge, swap, get in a garden, and then you can start having fun after that.
Yeah.
That's fun too, though. I mean, for me, it is.
The biggest question I always get, maybe we could just go over this real quick, but people will always want to know how much they need to start with. I just showed the example with 0.5 Ethereum and just doing the liquidity pools. I think half an Ethereum is perfectly fine. Some people will tell you you need multiple ETH. What do you guys think? If people ask you that question, what's usually your answer, Dangy?
I agree with you. I think half an Ethereum is fine if you're going to play around in the gardens and not really mess with heroes too much until, or if hero price goes down, then sure, maybe. But it also depends on how you're denominating these funds. If you switch it all to Jewel, then you're just hoping that the hero price goes down. If you keep it in Ethereum, you're hoping that Jewel price goes down, and then you can buy more Jewel with that Ethereum. So there's plenty of angles to it, but I do agree. I think 0.5 Ethereum at this point is kind of the minimum that I would play with.
Yeah, but what do you think, Gump? If you want to play now, if you want to play the game and get heroes, how much do you think you would need?
To make it worthwhile, 1, 2, 3 ETH. I mean, I hate saying that because I don't want to discourage someone from getting their feet wet, right? So I would tell somebody, if you have 0.25 and you just want to see if you like it, that's fine. Like, the transactions on there are so cheap. If you did this on Ethereum, you could do 3 transactions and your gas would be gone. Like, gas would chew through your whole 0.25. On here, it's literally fractions of a penny to do a transaction. So if you are new to DeFi, you're new to bridging, and you want to try 0.25, you will have to pay a chunk of that in gas just to bridge over. But if it's worth it to you to do it as a test run or a trial to see if you like it, you're still getting almost 500% return in the gardens. So 500% on 0.25 ETH is still a lot better than it just sitting in your ETH wallet, waiting to mint the next free thing that pops up on the scanner. So,
right. And it's kind of like what Frankie was asking earlier, where once you start seeing, some people want to see the actual returns. Like, you could tell them it's 500% APR, but if you throw 0.25 Ethereum in, like, you just want to try it out, and then a week later, like that account that I just showed you that had the 0.6 on it, when I created the video a week and a half ago, I was only using 0.4. So it part of that is because the price of Jewel went up as well. But sometimes, like, just using small amounts is good to start, because then you're just getting your feet wet. You're learning how to use the different the marketplace, the liquidity pools, and it allows you to sort of make mistakes with a smaller amount of money to start. So yeah, I think if you're just buying into the liquidity pool, then put in whatever amount that you feel comfortable with to start, and just see how it works for a week and see what goes on, and try different things out, see how much different things would cost, and then you'll know if you should be adding, or just in general learning how to play the game.
And ask questions. It's a dense game, and people really like it, us 3 included. So feel free to ask. We like to onboard new people. So go ask in the Lucky Trader Discord. Anybody in DeFi Kingdoms, I'm stuck doing this. Why would you do Y? All that kind of stuff is very welcome for the DeFi Kingdoms community.
Yeah. And then one other thing I was going to show real quick is there is this website that it's really cool. It's created. The beauty of this game and how early we are is a lot of the tools are created for people that have been playing the game. And there's this one, kingdom.watch/personal, where you would enter your Ethereum address into here, and you'll be able to track your own progress. So you'll be able to see what your actual APR is, what your actual unlocked rewards would be at this moment in time. And it also, which not always the best thing to look at, is it does show you the number in US dollars as well. So sometimes you'll see, like, if you're tracking this every day, you'll notice the swings in prices and stuff. But this is a good resource as well, kingdom.watch/personal. This will be one I can add to the notes as well that we like to use. And yeah, like Danny said, like, definitely if you have additional questions as you're going through, I'm available in the Lucky Trader Discord. And any of us, like, we're very willing to help people, because I think we just like the game a lot, and we're pretty deep into it, that if you have a question, it's very likely that one of us have come across
it's been
that
asked before.
point. So definitely don't be afraid to ask. That's sort of the beauty of doing these intro videos like this, is trying to get people are often scared to ask specific questions, but it's a lot easier if you show them and walk them through each of these steps. So great. So is there anything else that you guys feel like we might have missed? Well,
no, the only thing I'd say is, so we kind of went over a summary of what a new user could do. The game, this is the last question that I get a lot. Well, do I have to spend a ton of time to do this? Because I don't have that much time and I don't want to have to go do all this stuff all the time. It can be as engaging or passive as you make it. Yeah. If you don't have a lot of time, you can put your money in the garden, see the balance grow. If you are interested in the game, which you will be, you will get hooked on the game. We all have, everybody that we've talked to, they love it. If you want to get further engaged, you can spend 20 hours a day on there, like grinding all the different little edges if you want to. So it's a 0 minutes a day or 20 hours a day type of project. You will get out of it what you put into it. That's the last thing I'll say.
Yeah. And then where can they find you guys? Like, I know we do through Club MGMI.
Yeah.
Where can we find you guys and your work? Because I'm sure after this, people are going to be wanting to ask you guys some further questions.
You can find me on Twitter at DangyWing, on at YouTube at Club NGMI. And we're also in Peter Overzet's Deposit Kingdom Discord, so you can swing over there. I am also in Lucky Traders Discord, so if you want to add me, that's fine. Unfortunately, I don't spend too much time over in Lucky Traders Discord, but I should spend more, so feel free to add me too.
Yeah, Twitter, Gumskull5. I'm working on another piece for next week for an introduction to the Aave protocol, trying to get into some more simple DeFi stuff that people can get their feet wet, just like this. Yeah, so if you, send me a DM on Twitter if you have questions about DeFi Kingdoms, anything else, I'm happy to help.
Great. Yeah, so it was great having you guys on. Hope for those watching, you got something out of this and we answered questions that you might have had, or hopefully this is going to get you through that last step of, I went on the site and it was very overwhelming. Hopefully we helped ease that a little bit for you. And then at us, Lucky Trader, we'll be back on Monday for another Lucky Trader Lounge to go over what's upcoming for next week. And yeah, besides that, thanks for watching. We'll catch you guys next time.